case, there's always someone that's not gonna be able to come to the presentation, so it's really important that you're here so that we can talk about the 4 phases of the nutrition. We can ask questions and you can leave here 100% confident. And so, you know, we've got 10 weeks ahead of us starting on Monday, and I'm super excited. The thing is, when we face a 10-week challenge, you know, I've done so many events and so many challenges, and I've been a part of, you know, different, these types of things. And I find that the key to success is just making one small change at a time. So I don't want to feed you with a fire hose in terms of, some of you might not even be working out. So if I'm saying, okay, now we're gonna be working out 3 to 4 times a week, and you're gonna be weighing and measuring your food, and these are the numbers that you have to hit when you're measuring your food, and now you have to use this habit tracker, and you have to track your water, and it's like, by Wednesday you'll be like, oh, I'm out.
I'm done.
Right. So I want to make it very doable for you. And in this next week, and I'm really happy that it's a 10-week program, because then it gives us time to kind of gain speed, gain confidence, not feel overwhelmed. And the way we're gauging success is, are we doing a little better than we were yesterday? So we're not going to set the bar here. We're going to set the bar like, where are we today? Are we doing better than yesterday? Okay, so the whole idea of the 10-week transformation challenge is fat loss and not weight loss. And I'm disappointed with the whole industry in terms of weight loss seems to be the be-all, end-all, when, you know, I could get you to lose 25 pounds this month, possibly, and you would feel like, do you need me, Louise?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. And you might feel like a bag of soup, not being able to get off the couch, feeling like a skinnier version of your former fat self, being like, this is not what I wanted, right? Not feeling energized, not feeling confident. And so my goal is to work on fat loss and talk about non-scale victories. So this is Dina. Any idea how much, let's take a guess on how much weight she lost?
At least 15.
15?
No, 50.
50, 50 pounds. Okay, any other ideas? 20, 35?
25.
You're gonna be super shocked.
5.
6.
What?
6
Wow.
pounds.
That's it?
6 pounds. So the whole idea is that we're working on fat loss and muscle gain. And I'm so excited about the InBody. And I mean, because we will be quantifying how we're doing in terms of, are we gaining muscle? Are we losing fat? Because so often we'll get on the scale and it'll be like, can you imagine how she felt getting on the scale and being like, oh, I haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
But look at her, right? I mean, we have clients in current food camp right now, one in particular that hasn't really lost weight, but we look at her pictures and it's like her clothes are hanging on her. She has to take her pants and pull them up and roll them over because they're falling off her. You know, and we still want to slap her upside the head because she's like, yeah, but I haven't lost weight. And I'm like, come on, because the weight is not the important thing. And you know, although we tend to be a bit married to the number on the scale, we're gonna try to neutralize the number on the scale. We're gonna neutralize all the numbers that we got on the InBody. This is just data, and then we're gonna use that data, and we're gonna use our nutrition to change the numbers with the data, like change those numbers. And we're gonna try not to, you know, do the happy dance when the scale says one thing, or, you know, want to jump off a cliff when it says something else, because it's just a number. So, you know, the whole idea is that fat and 5 pounds of fat and muscle weigh 5 pounds, but they look very different, right? Fat takes up more space, muscle is more dense. So, you know, that's the whole idea, is that you know, her body is more tight and compact because she was able to change that composition. And the way she was able to change that composition was by exercising, doing metabolic resistance training, doing the lifting, doing the calorie burning, but also changing the composition of her food. And that's what's really important, and what I really love about this challenge is because that's what we're going to be talking about. So obviously the scale doesn't reflect all the progress we're making, so that's why we're asking you to take pictures. If you want to take your own progress pictures, this is kind of how we would do it. We're doing it in the office when you get your in-body, so that it's all done for you. Vicki was very prepared and you know, wore something form-fitting so that she can see the difference. You don't want to wear something like long sleeves and baggy, even on day one. Of course, that's what you want to wear. But you'll be very, you know, happy that and they don't go anywhere. And then if, you know, you choose to allow me to put your picture on the wall, we cut your head off, you know. So you can have your head, like, you're welcome to, but most people, they're just, and then we would just use your first name. So we will be taking your pictures, and so the idea is that if you're losing inches, you're also losing fat. So sometimes we're not doing measurements, but this is in your getting started guide, so I would encourage you to take your own measurements, because either through measurements or how your clothes fit, most of us have those jeans that we want to get into, or oh, we've got, you know, this muffin top over our jeans, or this blouse doesn't fit because it's a little pulling. So, you know, your clothes are going to tell you as well. And these are the non-scale victories that are really important. Most people, you know, when you walk into a room, if you're getting more fit, they'll notice, hey, your posture's better. They're not going to notice, oh, I noticed you dropped 2 pounds, because they don't know what your number on the scale is. But they will notice how your clothes are fitting, how you're carrying yourself. So big part of this is quantifying those non-scale victories. So the in-body scan, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. We'll be talking a bit more at food camp, and please bring your questions to food camp, because that's where we'll be answering them. Food camp is going to be on Monday nights at 7, and we pretty much come from 7 to 8. We talk about struggles and strategies in terms of how are we going to, you know, how are we managing our food, you know, what wins have we had, we quantify our non-scale victories. But I really want to talk about the in-body scan. Who has had theirs? Okay, so lots of you have had it. So a couple things of note, and that is your total body water. And probably Diane or Louise would have noted that for you. And we're trying to get 60%, Diane?
Yeah.
60%. Now, one of my clients drinks and drinks and drinks, and she's still only at about 50%. And one of the reasons that she, you know, she's just like, I can't drink anymore. One of the reasons that she can't get it up to 60% is because the way, let me explain how the in-body works. It's body impedance, and there's a couple of frequencies. So it's an electrical current that goes from your feet and through the hands, and it measures the speed with which the electrical current goes through your body. You don't feel it, obviously, we're not electrocuting you or anything. And it goes faster through water, and muscle has more water than fat. So the more muscle that you carry on your body, you're going to see that in your hydration level. So as your muscle tone goes up, you'll see an increase in your hydration level as well. So don't be like really alarmed or upset if it's like, oh, I'm only at 45% hydration. It means that we have room to move in terms of hydration, in terms of adding lean muscle tone to your body. The next thing that and actually I think I have, skeletal muscle mass. That is how much muscle you have on your body in terms of pounds, and body fat mass. That's how much pounds you have on, you know, of fat. What I like on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a body fat mass control. It says there's a suggested, you know, you could possibly lose this amount of weight and gain this amount of muscle, or, you know, it never asks you to lose muscle. Or it might say don't lose any fat. And what I like about that is it helps us to set a realistic expectation, because some people come in and they might say, I would like to lose 30 pounds. And then we see what the InBody suggests, because there's a certain amount of essential fat that your body needs to have. Like if you only have 50 pounds of fat on your body, you might think, oh my God, I'm so fat, I have 50 pounds. Well, you need a certain amount of fat on your body to survive. So that gives you, on the right-hand side, you'll see a number, and that will give you a ballpark on a suggested amount of fat that you could lose healthily. The BMI, I'm not really that concerned with. BMI is just a height and weight ratio. So I always joke with people to say, if you're not gonna lose weight, then just get taller, and that BMI is gonna change, right? And then the percentage of body fat will give you just the percentage of, of body fat. What I like about the lean segmental analysis, I wanna talk about the in-body scan conditions, that's why I put that. Remember what you were wearing, the time of day, and what you, make note of what you did on the day of your first in-body. And then try and replicate that as much as possible. Because the in-body is based a lot on hydration levels, you want to make sure that if you came in, like Vicky, at 6:30 on a Monday night, let's do that another time at food camp. Do you know what I mean? Like try and replicate the time or the conditions as much as possible. So if you're doing it at night one time, try and do it at night another time and have a similar day, a similar food. You won't want to have had alcohol the night before. Well, we're going to talk about nutrition, and alcohol is fine. We don't want to have it the night before because it's going to mess with your hydration levels. So just try and make the conditions as similar as possible so that we're, comparing apples to apples.
Does that include workout as well? So when
It does, yes.
After a workout,
do it after a workout again.
If you didn't.
Correct, thank you, Diane. Yeah,
Okay.
because you're gonna sweat, you're gonna lose some of your water. So yeah, just make it and the clothing and everything as much as possible. So what I really like about the lean segmental analysis, so that's the kind of the middle part or the bottom part, and it tells you how much lean muscle tone is on each limb. What I like about that, the top number, that's how much muscle is actually on each limb. So you're gonna see, right, left, how symmetrical you are, and note that not everybody is asymmetrical to a certain extent, because think about all the things we do with just our right leg, getting into the car first, or getting out of the car first, or, so there's always gonna be some asymmetry, but we can all, oftentimes, I feel like a fortune teller, because I'll say, wow, what happened to your left arm? Oh, I had a shoulder injury or something. So we can note that. Like Vanita, we noted that, she had a hip or a knee issue. And so it's like we could see that. And so what I like about that is that you can see your progress over time, that if you note, oh, my left arm, wow, I'm like half a pound less than my right. So then we take that information and we take it into the workout, and then we always do 1 or 2 extra reps on our right side or the weaker side. Always start with the weak and dumb side, maybe do a few extra reps on that side. Also the number below, so there's the pounds on the top and then the number below, that really, what that does is that segmental analysis shows if there's enough lean mass to support your current weight. So you want that to be 100 or more. So if it's under 100, it means that you are subject to injury in that area. So we really want to build the muscle up to get it to be 100% so that it can support your weight. Does that make sense? And then the bottom, body composition history, the next time we do our in-body in 10 weeks time, we'll have another, we'll be able to see what's happening with your weight, with your muscle, with your percentage of body fat. And Diane, this is Diane. Many of you have met her, Heartland, and she's like one of my right-hand girls, and would love to help you with your weight on our in-body. We're not going to do in-body scans all the time, but we will do, you're welcome to do your weight, so Diane can do that with you. Diane, how would they arrange that with you?
Well, you can do it with me if you see me in camp. I can just pop you on the scale and then write it down, and then it's just for our records. Or if there's somebody in the office, just ask them.
Somebody in the office.
Jump on the scale body scale, write it down, and then I'll have a jar that says your weights, and just fold it up, put your name on it, and pop it in.
And what we do is, Diane every week is like, okay, we've lost 25 pounds. All right, this week, you know, so far
It's really
it's
exciting
fun.
when you've got a group of people that have dropped 50 pounds. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah, so it's
So
just
we'll
kind of for
update you.
fun and motivation, and then, so the way the scale is some people like to know, some people do not wanna know. Whatever works for you, there's no obligation to get on it, like if we're saying, hey, you know, try it, but you don't have to, right? Because some people, it just messes with your head, if it's gonna be a good day or a bad day, based on that scale, and it's not, you know, mentally a good thing for you, that's fine. We're gonna be counting the non-scale victories, and we're gonna be talking about those a lot on Monday night. So, nutrition. So this is one of the big things that I wanted to talk to you about, because this can get to be overwhelming. So, food camp, Monday nights, starting September 23rd. So you might wonder, well, why are we doing it September 23rd? Well, you're already here on Thursday. I have another group coming on Saturday. Lots of you are starting exercise. You've got that client-facing page that you have to go through all the stuffs on. It's like, let's not, you know, I don't want to put too much on your plate. We're gonna start, and you have a job to do in the next week nutritionally. So we're gonna start on the 23rd. Also, I am in a course, so it all works out. But it works with the 4 phases that I'm gonna talk about. We are talking about struggles and strategies, and we have a week. Oh, Diane, would you make a list of everybody's name? Because we have a prize for the orientations,
They're
remember?
all in.
You got everybody's
These
name
were-
already?
yes.
Okay, so, Diane always has great ideas. She's like, what about if we do weekly prizes? I'm like, yes. She goes, so we have a really fun prize, like, that's gonna be for who came to the orientations.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise though. Yeah, it's gonna be a surprise, but it's so great. And so for all the people that came to the orientation today and on Saturday, we'll put your name in a draw and you'll get the prize. Obviously, all of you are winning. Oh, just the one, sorry. But, and then every week we've got prizes, and and then we have grand prizes at the end as well. And the way we're gonna do our weekly prizes will be, you know, people that are really trying hard, that are asking questions, that are showing up, that are coming to boot camp, that are enthusiastic, that are helping others, that kind of thing. And we will probably have a very difficult time picking that person. And at the end, our grand prize, and you know what, if we have a hard time, we might just do it by draw. Sorry? I missed that.
We have 3 prizes for the grand.
Oh yes, we have grant, yes, and that is going to be based on positive body change. And I wanna tell you that we did a challenge in June, and one of our winners, Sandra, she gained a pound and she won. So because her positive body change was that she lost some fat, gained some muscle. So it's not about who loses the most pounds. It's about positive body change, and that's what we can determine on our in-body. Okay, so let's talk about the 4 phases of nutrition, because everybody is coming here with a diet history. Everyone has, you know, we've been all eating for our entire lives. We all have habits. Most of us have been on some kind of diet or nutrition plan of some sort throughout our lives, so we're not all starting in the same spot. And so I really had to do a lot of thinking about this. And I have to make a confession in that, like, what I like about this transformation is that we're doing it like worldwide with all Fit Body boot camps, but I changed ours a little bit, and the reason why was because we've been doing food camp here for almost a year, which is macro counting, which is basically what this program is. And I've been nutrition coaching for quite a few years, and I don't wanna like speak ill of the way Fit Body set it up, but I have my own way, like my own theory of it, and I just felt like they were just putting too much on at once. So that's why I wanted to do it in 4 phases so that it's not overwhelming, because I've had so many clients that, you know, I tried it this way where you just throw it all out there and people are just overwhelmed. It's just too much. So we want to just do one thing at a time. And so for a lot of you, if you're not exercising this first week, your win is coming to boot camp 3 to 4 times. Just getting here. And maybe working on like being more cognizant of what you're eating. So our first phase is food tracking awareness. So I do have to say that I'm a big fan of food tracking, and I really love the free app, MyFitnessPal, because number one, it's free. Number two, not everyone, so many people say, hey, do I need to buy the paid version? No, do not. You don't need to buy the paid version. I hate to take money out of their pocket, but we don't need to. It's an American fee as well, and so it is quite a bit more. And we can work fine with the free version. You can be using it on your laptop, but most of us have a smartphone, so put it on your phone. And this week, your nutrition is just starting to log. I just want to create an awareness. I want you to get the idea of what food logging is. Become aware of macros. We're going to talk about macros. Macros are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And don't change anything. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And all this week is just an awareness of what you're eating and practice logging. And if you can make a pledge with yourself that I'm not going to eat it until I log it, there's already going to be a natural accountability this week, because if you log an Oreo cookie and you're like, oh my goodness, you're not going to eat the entire sleeve. And we've already made an upgrade, right? So, and the reason I don't want you to change anything is because if you want to go to the next phase where I actually give you personalized macros, I need to know what you're eating now. And you need to know there's no food shaming, there's no guilt, because everything is acceptable. But we'll find ways to make things work. So a lot of times when you hear macros, there's a lot of formulas that people use to create your macros. But if you don't take into account your current intake, it can really mess you up. So for example, if your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, based on a formula, says you should be eating 1,200 calories, and then we have an exercise factor that we multiply that by. So maybe that's going to put you up to 1,500 calories a day based on your age, your weight, your height, your activity level. That's what those MAC calculators use. But let's say you have a dieting history such that you're currently only intaking 1,100 calories. So then if I say, all right, I've taken your height, your weight, your age, your activity, 1,500 calories, what's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to be like, I can't even eat all this. And if you do, your body's going to be like, oh, let's save some of that, right? We're going to store that. So that's why, and honestly, so many people that give me their macros, their current intake, it's like, oh my gosh, this person's not eating anything. Our goal is to increase your intake. So initially, when I take in your macros, then I'm going to take in I'll ask you some questions. There's a form that's in the Getting Started guide. I think I'm going to add another link to that client-facing page so it's a little easier for you to find. That when you're ready, you're going to summarize 5 days of logging for me. You're going to tell me how many carbs you have each day, how many fats, how many protein, and your total calories, and then I'm going to average that out for 5 days. And then I use that to base your current numbers on. And typically, I don't put people in a deficit right away, because oftentimes we can just change the composition of what you're eating and change, be like Dina, change your body. Because this is not a diet. Diets are things that you stop. The reason that I want you to be tracking is so that you become aware of what you're eating, how you're feeling, the results you're getting, and we food track so that we don't have to food track. food tracking is not something that you're gonna do for the rest of your life. It's a skill that we're gonna learn now so that we get an idea of, oh, this is how much, how much chicken, how much protein is in this chicken. This is how much, how many carbs are in this bell pepper. And so the whole tracking awareness is so that eventually we don't have to track, because we don't want to live with a read it and eat it meal plan, and we don't want to live carrying around a food scale and MyFitnessPal all the time, right? So, why are we food tracking? Natural accountability, right? We're only going to eat one Oreo once we get the, eat all you want, but chances are you're probably going to limit it once you see what's in it. And you're going to connect the dots between what you're eating, how you're feeling, the results you're getting, and track now so that we don't have to indefinitely. And the guessing game. This is something that we talk about in food camp, so that sometimes people will just weigh it and then enter it, but not maybe connect the dots. So the guessing game is helpful so that you can say, this peach, I bet it's about 100 grams. Oh, it's 120. So that you're starting to, 120 grams, that is 22 grams of carbs. So it starts to make the numbers make sense, right? So pay attention to the numbers. There is some, intention and time devoted to this, but anything worthwhile is, takes a bit of time. And I want to explain one thing that was confusing to when we were talking about food tracking, is that I wanted to go to, where was it? I'll just go back. When we do food tracking, when I give you your macros, I might say, okay, I want you to have 100 grams of protein, but that's not the weight. 100 grams of protein might come from 125 milliliters of egg whites and 51 grams of dry fruit cottage cheese. And so it's not the weight, it's the actual macronutrient in it, right? And I'm going to confuse you a little bit with the next thing I say, because, food tracking awareness, if you're, so this is what I was talking about. If you want personalized macros, and, I hope that we are going to move along to that, but you don't have to, then you're going to send me that food log, and it's in the Getting Started Guide, and when you read the Getting Started Guide, you'll see it. And again, don't change anything, and I need to see what your intakes are now so that I can make you your current, make your macros for you. And then, okay, so now is what I was going to talk about with the weighing thing. Phase 2 is partial tracking, because if we're trying to balance carbs, fats, and proteins, it gets pretty tricky at first, especially when you're starting to do all the logging. And all the food camp people that have been there, Lori, you know what it's like, Danielle, right? Trying to balance it all. So the second phase is you're just going to track your protein. And if I haven't gotten your macros to you yet, you're going to just try and get 100 grams of protein broken up throughout the day, or the personalized macro profile that I give you, like it might be more or less depending on you. But if I haven't gotten it to you yet and you're ready to go to phase 2 and you've done your 5 days that you've sent to me, you're going to go on to partial tracking if you're ready and you want to, and you're going to begin to track your vegetable intake. So a key to the success that I've had with my clients and myself is trying to really up our vegetable intake. So we're going to try and get 600 grams of raw or cooked vegetables in during the day. Don't wait till dinner to do that, right?
Can you just tell me offhand how many ounces that might be? I'm just trying to do a mental calculation.
Does someone someone ask Siri that?
Is it about 16 ounces?
Well, 600 grams is like just over a pound, right? Because 500 grams, like a kilo,
454
is.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, does that help?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, I'm just trying to
So,
do
whatever works in your head.
21.16 ounces.
20, okay, perfect. So the 600 grams, like the way I get it in would be like, okay, I put 50 grams of spinach in my morning shake. And then I might have a bell pepper at lunch, so that's gonna be about 170 grams, and I might have a carrot, and that might be 70 grams, and I might have 100 grams of like a mini cucumber is about 100 grams. And then, like I split it up throughout the day so that it's not like I have to have it all at dinner, because otherwise you're gonna be eating all night. And if you're having it just in greens, which is fine, like lettuce and arugula and that, you're gonna do a lot of chewing. So, but that's fine too. But just know that, and you're gonna just get an education in this. So, Danielle?
Yeah, I have a question because I've started trying to reach 600.
Yeah.
But I had corn on the cob tonight, right? So it's not always possible.
I just scrape it off. Or you can.
Wait, before and after. I didn't
You
think
can
about
just
that.
spray
That's
the
a
corn
good
on the
idea.
cob, you can eat
Eat,
it,
and then corn
Yeah,
on the
that's
cob.
right. I didn't think about that, but
Yeah.
now I do.
Yeah. Or, yeah. And like this is a ballpark, right? You know, it would probably be maybe 100 grams of corn, I'm guessing, once you scraped it off.
Yeah.
But this is a ballpark, and for a lot of you, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And a lot of times, it does seem like a lot. Like a lot of times I'll bring vegetables and some meat in like protein in a container, and always like, I'll say, oh my God, Louise, I finally got through it. She's like, what, your vegetables? I'm like, yep, did it again. So it's like, it's not always the fun thing to eat, but guess what? I'm always satiated. Like I can't say I have an empty belly. And so partial food tracking, you're not even gonna worry about your carbs and your fat. You're just gonna try and get these things in, and you're gonna try and get on top of your appetite. So, you know, am I hungry? Do I wanna eat? Oh, I am hungry. Okay, I'm gonna start with some protein and vegetables, and then I'm gonna round it out with maybe an avocado or maybe some, you know, something to put on my vegetables, or have some carbs. It's totally fine to eat carbs, but you're gonna be satiated just by this. So that's what the partial tracking is.
I think what I found as well, which might help you guys, is with starting my food tracking is the amount of protein, the lack of protein that I was not eating. I
Yeah.
didn't realize how short of the protein I was until I had to get it up to 100 grams, and I thought, holy crap.
Yeah, it's
It's really surprising when
yeah.
you
But then
start.
when you split it into, you know, 4 or 5 meals, it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to eat 4 chicken breasts. If you wait till the end of the day,
My 5 days of tracking, my protein was appalling.
right?
Yeah.
So, and that's all right, you know, because then it gives us a starting point.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the reason that we do partial tracking, less overwhelm, more success, more food awareness, and we're just building our habits one at a time. You know, I'm all about the one change challenge. Do one thing, just do that, and don't feel like, oh, I have to do this and this and this. So then, part
You
3,
said-
sorry?
You said 100 grams of protein, that was protein contained within your food. But the
Correct.
600 grams
Is
of
the
vegetables
weight.
the actual weight. Okay.
Correct, that's the confusing part of it.
That's okay.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to make that very clear,
Okay.
okay? And still track, in partial tracking, still track your protein in MyFitnessPal. If you wanna track the weight of your vegetables, you can, but I would just track, but not really try and balance the carbs or fat or anything. Even though if I've given you your macros, you might know what they are. It might be like, you're supposed to get to 150 carbs, but don't worry about getting to that in stage 2. You're just trying to get the 100 protein and your vegetables in, okay? But I'd like you to track, but don't be overwhelmed with it. If you can't, that's okay too. But try and track your protein. So stage 3 or phase 3 is food Jenga, and I call it food Jenga because it really is a balancing act. So this is when we're putting all our macros, like now we're just gonna try, and by now you will have you'll have gotten your personalized macros, and you're gonna try and track them all, and you're gonna refer to the Getting Started webpage. You're gonna try and hit your numbers plus or minus 5 grams in each of the categories. The keys to success here, which we're gonna be talking about a lot on Monday nights because we're really getting ahead of ourselves, but I wanna let you know what's coming ahead, is that we're pre-planning the night before. Lots of us know, hey, we have a similar breakfast, we pack our lunch for work, and oh, I've just taken out chicken, we're gonna have chicken for dinner. So, you know, you can start to pre-plan, and then you can put your numbers in on the day of. And every day's a fresh start. If it's like it's like, oh my gosh, I blew it. Oh well, tomorrow I start fresh, right? and that it takes time to master. It takes a lot of time. And this is, in some ways, it's like, I find, who was I talking to today that was one of my clients, and she said, you know, was it you, Diane? No, I can't remember who it was, but she was saying that I feel like counting macros is really the key to my success, because if I want to have a glass of wine, if I want to have a piece of pizza, I can always make it work by juggling the numbers, so there's nothing off limits. It might mean that if you're going to have wine on a Friday night, that you're going to have a lot of egg whites and vegetables in the day. You might not, have chocolate cake as well. You're just going to balance it. So, but it does take some time to master, and part of it is that, I feel like it's not a sexy thing that I'm trying to sell here. I'm trying to sell education and logic and common sense, which everyone wants to buy, the fast, quick, Band-Aid solutions that are really not long-term solutions. But I feel like this is a long-term solution when you learn how to fuel your body properly. Stage 4 is Food Jenga 2.0, because the macros I gave you in the beginning are just, they're a moving target, because your metabolism changes as you get more fit, as your body composition changes, because the more muscle you have on your body, muscle is metabolically active, so the more muscle you have on the body, the more your caloric requirements. And so we review numbers, as we go, but I can't change your macros if you're not tracking. So if we want to get to the fourth phase, and some of you will get there, I need to have like 2 weeks of pretty on track tracking, right? Like, I can't have you all over the map. Well, I hit my numbers once in the last week, because we don't know what those numbers were doing for you. We don't know, were they satiating you? How is your body reacting to that? So Food Jenga 2.0 is like kind of down in week 8, 9, 10, maybe further on, but it really is depending on how you're feeling. The other thing is that if I give you numbers and we're in week 6 and you're like, oh my God, I'm starving, these are good things, because that means that your metabolism is likely firing up, and so then I'll give you moderate changes to your numbers. So meal plans. So some of you might be like, oh, I'm really not, I don't know why half of it is in that, but whatever. That's supposed to say yes, not S. Anyway, I will, as soon as you start tracking, you might be like, oh my God, I don't even know. You get analysis paralysis. So on that page that some of you might have gone to, you'll see Read It and Eat It meal plans. You can go to a site, put in your I think it's, you put in your age, your height, your weight, your goal, and then it will give you a caloric, it'll spit out a caloric amount. I'll have already given you macros, so you can kind of base it on that as well. And then you can pick a paleo, vegetarian, American, you can choose a Read It and Eat It meal plan and grocery list, and print that off and use it as a guide if you want. Because you might just be like, I just need some ideas, and that's okay. So yes, but the reason I don't like Read It and Eat It meal plans is because that's kind of not, it doesn't really teach you necessarily what to eat for the rest of your life. If you can use the Read It and Eat It meal plan as a guide and a jumping off point, then I would like for you to have that. I want to support you in that. But my goal is to move you away from that so that you're using that as a guide, and then it's like, oh, but I like that overnight oats. There's a really great recipe book on that page so that you can start to use those recipes and ideas in there as well. So, free meals. So lots of times I've done challenges before where there would be one free meal or cheat meal or treat meal, and we don't really have it with this plan. And the reason is because we have free meals for a couple of reasons. Number one, leptin is a hormone that can drop by 50% after even 7 days of a caloric deficit. And leptin is one of those hormones that helps you burn fat, helps you to lose weight. But because I'm not putting you in a caloric deficit, our leptin levels aren't going to be suffering. We're not going to notice that leptin decrease. And because we're doing this macro, and if you like, but I want pizza, it's like, go ahead and have pizza. There's nothing off limits. We just have to find out how, like, we can teach you ways to juggle, like find out how many macros are in that pizza. It's like, okay, well, I need to have less at lunch and breakfast, or wherever you're having that pizza, you have to work around it. So, you know, the treat meal is kind of to take the lid off, you know, the pressure cooker of like chicken and broccoli, but you shouldn't have that, because there is no taboo food. I can even show you how to have a glass of wine and track that as well. So we don't really have free meals. That's always a big question. And a suggestion would be to have your more carbs around your workout. If you're a 5:30 in the morning exerciser, I'm not saying that you have to get up at 3:30, have your meal, let it digest, go to your workout, have your other carb meal. Just, you know, have a little something, have your workout, have carbs, and then have carbs in the evening again, so that it'll fuel you for the morning. These are the kinds of things that we talk about at food camp as well, like what's the best thing to have before your workout, what's the best thing to have after your workout, and why. I talk about insulin resistance, about blood sugar, about you know, how we can manage insulin with food timing. But just for now, know that it's very good to have carbs a little bit before your workout, have a little bit of carbs and protein before your workout, unless you like to exercise on an empty stomach at 5:30 in the morning, which many people do, and then have some carbs after. And that's partly because it's good to have a little bit of an insulin elevation after your workout, because those carbs elicit an insulin response, and insulin kind of is the key that opens the cell so that muscle glycogen can be replenished, liver glycogen can get replenished, and all those, you know, all the muscle repair can happen. So I'll just leave you with that, just as kind of as a guideline. And some of our rules is that, you know, I just said about the carbohydrates, kind of around your workout as much as possible. Try and have a variety of protein sources, because every protein has a bit different amino acid profile, so it's good to have a little bit of variety if you can. Protein shakes it's difficult to get to the 100 grams of protein a day without having a shake. So I recommend that if you're up for it, maybe get you know, a protein supplement. I can help you with choosing one that is, you know, maybe for a smoothie or after your workout, because that will give you 20 to 30 grams of protein. But I would suggest not having an entire like protein shake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Vegetables. Now, the way the Fit Body, like, I tried to kind of morph my page a little bit. I took some of the assets off that were a little bit conflicting with the way that the Fit Body, other Fit Bodies are doing it, because the way they're doing it with pen and paper, like not using my Fitness Pal, which I'm not a math person. I don't want to have to add up all these numbers. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit with the tracker. But you'll also see a food list on that page, which, you know, it says include free vegetables in every meal. Well, they're suggesting just counting direct macros, which is just like the most in the food. So if a steak has 12 grams of protein and 3 grams of fat, all you do is count the protein. It's like, well, just use my Fitness Pal and it counts everything. Like, I don't know why they're doing that. Anyway. So we don't really count our vegetables as free, but once you start tracking and seeing how little carbs they are, they're basically free. But my goal for you for vegetables is working up to that 600. You won't get to 600 in a day, that's totally fine, but if you're eating more than you were yesterday, and if you never get to 600 but you're eating more than you were before, we're winning. And fat, we want to have different sources of fats. Obviously, we're not a low fat plan. But I can tell you that a lot of you, probably when you give me your macros, your fat might be a little bit higher, and I might need to lower it a bit, but it's not going to be a low fat or a low carb plan. Now, our rules are basically that, you know, it says stick to the food list. The food list is just suggestions. What I don't like about the way Fit Body is doing it is that you just have to stick to this food list, which I really like more intuitive, flexible dieting. So use the food list as a guideline if you want. You don't have to. Limiting dairy, lots of water, and planning to succeed by pre-planning if you can. And this is what I'm talking about, that we're doing things a bit differently. You're gonna see that food list on that client-facing page. Do you know what I'm talking about, the page? No, it's been emailed to you. So check your email, unless you signed up today.
It wasn't the Facebook,
No, there's the global Facebook group, which is very cool. Go on the global Facebook group, because that one I know the HQ, they're adding recipes, like I don't know what the schedule is, but it's like mindset on Sunday, there'll be videos, there'll be recipes, there'll be exercises, like there's a lot of content there. So that's the global group.
what did your heading say when you sent the client to see?
If you're on
You
that
have to
page,
click onto it.
if
No,
you're,
I'm not on
oh,
the-
you're not on it
the
yet?
page, no. Oh,
Just
okay, I'll
ask
look
us.
again.
Yeah, email us if you can't find it.
You
I-
sent it out September 6th, that's right.
September 6th, that's right, and I think it was something
I missed the
NWFBBC. Yeah, so if you're having trouble finding it, then let us know and we'll help you get there. Our habit tracker, I'm gonna talk about a little bit. They have a meal plan template and a meal prep guide. You can use as guidelines, but when they're talking about direct macros, try not to get confused about that. Just know that we're tracking with MyFitnessPal, we're tracking all our macros. So I just wanted to clarify that, because you might be like, why do I see direct macros here? And I wanted to give you the reason why I'm doing it differently. So this is the habit tracker, which is very good. And you'll find that on that page. Feel free to print it out or not. But research does prove that tracking increases the likelihood of, reaching your goal by more than 50%. It just makes us more intentional. And so there's daily habits based on drinking, your water, your sleep, compliance with your macros. What I've noticed, and additional habits like working out, planning your meals, prepping your meals, you'll see this in that habit tracker. And also establishing your why. So it's just asking you to think about, why am I actually doing this? Because, if you're an early morning exerciser, or you're dragging your tired behind to the 4:30 session here, you might, after a week or 2 or 3, you might be like, I'm tired. And you might be like, I'm just going home, or I'm staying in bed. But when you're really more intentional about, why am I doing this? Oh, because I want to be healthy for my kids. Oh, because I have a big hike or holiday planned, and I want to be able to keep up with the family. Or when you really do a little bit deeper thinking of, why do I want to do this? Like initially we all want to do it because hey, I want to look better naked. But at the end of the day, there's more reasons than just that. It's like that those improved health measures. And when we think about what those are, those push us a lot further than just getting into a smaller pair of jeans. So this, in the habit tracker, I was gonna try and edit the whole habit tracker, because I don't necessarily want you to write down everything, because if you're writing it down and then you're putting it into MyFitnessPal, that's like double duty. But I also noticed that because I'm a food tracker, I track my food. Sometimes I just have to make notes. You can be using it for notes or for planning, so use it as it suits you. But I highly, highly recommend doing the MyFitnessPal for the food tracking, because it's so easy and it's so intuitive. And I also, on that page, I've got some hints and tips. I'm gonna send you an email on, here's some more tips on using MyFitnessPal. And then that's another thing that we'll be doing on Monday nights is okay, if you're stuck on MyFitnessPal, we can always help you with it. And it's the time for reflection and self-discovery, because I feel like a transformation challenge like this, the big transformation is really yes, we wanna lose weight, we wanna feel great, we want our clothes to be, fitting more comfortably, but it's also who we become in the process of this. What we discover about ourselves that makes us to be a little bit better people at the end when we stick through it. Even just the fact that, hey, I did it. We just feel so empowered, and I don't want anyone to, I want to set you up for success such that, we're not looking for a 25-pound weight loss. We're looking for, hey, do we feel better? Are we more energized? Like, we're gonna be looking for the non-scale victory so that we're all gonna find a way to win in this. Even if we're the same weight at the end of it all, but we're feeling better, our workout performance is better, those are the wins we're gonna look at. And we're not gonna bash ourselves that, I didn't do so great on the nutrition. Like, we're not gonna look at that. We're gonna look at all the wins. Of course, we're gonna try and encourage you to do the nutrition and, do well at all of it. But the whole idea is that we're winning by sticking with it. So our boot camp rules for our new people is clean, dry shoes, please, because we try and keep our mat clean. Most of us bring a mat or a towel, and that's mostly because I don't want to lay in somebody else's sweat. So I would recommend bringing a towel to throw down. We try and keep things as clean as possible. Be on time, paying attention to our coaches. We have amazing coaches. If you have an injury or, any limitation, everybody's got an injury of some sort, let your coach know. We'll work around it. The other thing I'm super excited about is on the first and third Wednesday of every month, we have called Workshop Wednesday. So if you've got an injury or you're brand new and it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing, like what are those straps and bands, and just come. And we've got a half an hour. It'll probably be a fairly small group, and our coach is just gonna take you through the basics. So it's kind of a workout orientation, and that's gonna be this Wednesday, and that's with Coach Jolene, whom you will love and also hate. No more. She's just a firecracker, and she's just awesome with energy. And so she's doing that this Wednesday, and then on the other Wednesdays, we've got yoga stretch.
And what time did you do it on Wednesday?
It's at 6. Yeah. So that was, and then, we're checking in. We've got the iPad. So it's really important that we're accountable. There's also an app on your phone. You can sign up for sessions before, but you don't have to. I like for you to, for your own benefit, because then when you do that, it's like making a doctor's appointment. You're making an appointment with yourself, and so then, it's kind of like, all right, I've made this appointment, I've got to show up. It's more of a commitment. At the very least, though, please sign in. And what else? Please bring water, small sips throughout. Drink your water on the way home. Ask for help. That's why we're here. Whether it's me, Louise, Diane, Carol is another one of our ambassadors. Our coaches are excellent and will help you. If you have kids, I don't mind if kids come. We've kind of got like a small room, but it's not minded. So if you have young ones, they're allowed to come, but they have to be kind of on an iPad or in reading a book or whatever. And just a positive attitude, and we have a really great and positive fitness family here that I'm sure that you'll find. And really the most important thing is what happens after the 10 weeks, that we get through our 10 weeks and we develop habits now that we can carry on, because at the end of these 10 weeks is November 23rd, we're going into Christmas. So we want to be feeling awesome and confident November 23rd, and then, hopefully we'll be continuing with these habits. And I've got, if there's new challengers here, I've got, I have a handout for you, because we've got a few added bonuses if you would like to join with our boot camp. And if you decide that you want to do that and make a commitment today, we're not holding you to it. We'll just give you those extra bonuses if you decide to stay on today. And then in 10 weeks, if you choose, no, I haven't, then there's nothing, we won't charge you or anything. But we do have a special bonus for you if you sign up today. Every choice you make has an end result. So whether it's a positive choice, whether you choose to come or you don't come, these are the results that you're gonna have. Thanks for coming. Oh wow, like right right at 8 o'clock.
Good job.
It's like I planned it. Any questions, Vicki?
Yeah, I'm super confused about when I'm supposed to come here. Like,
For
is
boot
there a
camp?
schedule? Yeah.
Yes.
I have no idea how that works.
Yes, there's a schedule. You can come at any time.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a certain, like,
Everybody comes.
idea.
No, yeah, Diane will get it. So we've got 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning,
Okay.
Monday to Friday, 8:45, 9:30, Monday to Friday, noon, Tuesday, Thursday, 4:30, 5:15, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. on Monday, and then 6 p.m. on Wednesday, which is either the workshop Wednesday if it's the first or third, or yoga on the other ones.
Okay.
Weekends, 8, 8:45, 9:30 on Saturday, 10:15 yoga. You're gonna be able to tell, you're gonna know all this.
Yeah.
You're memorizing
So
this,
are
right?
all the classes that are here, are they all the same?
So,
And they're all?
so basically what happens is we have a workout of the day.
Okay.
If you come at 5:30 in the morning, it'll be a similar one as at 5:30 at night, 5:15 at night.
Gotcha.
It'll be it might be a different coach, so they'll have their own little flavor to it. But then the next day is something entirely different.
Oh, I see, okay.
So they're all, thanks Diane, they're all full body workouts. So don't think, oh, if I've come, Mondays is legs and Wednesdays is back and, thank you for that. Then you can come to any and all of them.
Okay.
And we have yoga on Saturday and Sunday. Feel free to do the workout and stay for the yoga, or just come to the yoga. It's not really yoga, it is, but it's yoga stretch. It's like a half an hour. Like we have a yoga instructor do it, but it's, it's not 90 minutes. We don't have candles.
Okay, so we're supposed to come to this, and then on the Mondays.
Monday
come
come
to
at
the
7.
nutrition stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's
Monday-
every single week.
Yes, except for the, not on the 16th, we're not doing it we're not doing it on this Monday. You've got enough to figure out this first
Right.
week.
Okay.
So come on the 23rd at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And your
But
goal,
start tracking on the
and,
16th.
but start tracking even now.
Okay.
Yep, you guys have a head start. Yep.
And everything you told us tonight is basically on the website too? Like, is it,
Yes.
or is it?
And more.
Okay.
Yeah, if you read if you look at, okay, there's a couple videos, but I did it, so it's like, of course it's clear for me. So any feedback you can provide me, like all your questions now, like when do I come, Vicki? Good point.
I know, like, I keep getting these emails, and I'm like, well, I signed up for the 16th, why do you want me there now? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, so thank you. Any feedback is like, cause when you're the ringmaster, it's like, well, of course it's clear.
Makes
I
total
mean,
sense. And I
yes.
can tell most of these people have been here before, so.
Yes, and lots of and so we have about 50 people in the challenge, and I think we have about 30 members in the challenge, which I'm super thrilled about, because I love that members are starting to see that, hey, working out is great. We get to a certain amount of, change, but then we need to make more changes, and that comes through nutrition. So I'm so happy that they're doing that, and then I'm so happy to have some new people, because you're gonna love our family, our fitness family. So that's a good question. Come any and all times. So if you are new to exercise, my recommendation would be to come every second day. Don't feel like I'm coming 5 days a week. Set yourself up for success. I'm gonna come 3 times this week. I'm gonna come 3 times for the first 2 weeks. Oh, I might come 4 times the next week. Just slowly increase things, because everybody's so zealous in the beginning, and then it just kind of peters out. But if we just start slow, and it's like, hey, I can manage this. Oh, it's not so overwhelming. Oh, it's not taking up my entire life, food tracking and getting to exercise and habit tracking, and just do what you can. And the goal, did I do better than yesterday? Yes, I'm winning. No? Okay, tomorrow's a new day. That's how we're doing it. Any other questions?
So we can start tracking now. So
Yes, you
5 days
can.
go from now on.
Yeah, it can start now. Yeah, and if you're ready, and if you want to send me your macros, if you want to go to that getting started guide and send me, I've given you my phone number. You can email it or you can text it to me. I'd almost prefer to have people send me their macros in the next 2 weeks, rather than one day I get 50 sets of macros to do. So I can, and then if I give you your macros, it doesn't mean that you have to you can move into partial tracking if you want. You can stay with just the awareness and get to the meeting. It's up to you. Your choice. Taz.
Yeah, you already answered my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So
You know, how to send the, tracking to you is in the guide.
it is.
Okay.
The getting started guide, I would like your feedback. It would be very helpful because to me it's very clear. So it's about 25 pages. So I don't know if you need to print it all out, you know, up to you. What you do need to print, and I put it in the appendix, so just the last 2 pages. One page is the tracking guide, and then the next one is the Fujenga, like the phase 4 one, so that if you want new macros, then I get you to give me a bit of information, like what are your results? What's your hunger level? How's your sleep? How's your energy? So that then I can kind of, you know, I'm not just gonna, I don't just randomly give you numbers. Like, you guys are all people to me. I get to know who you are. Oh, you're doing shift work. Oh, this is, okay, we need to change it because of this and that. So that's why I have those forms, and I try and make it as easy as possible for you. And I'll try and be as quick as on a turnaround to get you the numbers, but it might be a day. So, anything else? My videographer?
No, you're good.